So, what happens when your life was supposed to look one way, but then you get this devastating diagnosis and you don't know if you're ever going to be able to have children? I mean, that was the essence of my conversation here today with Lauren. And what followed was just this entirely different path where family building for her just had to look different. And then, taking her business mind and just all of the knowledge that she accumulated over the years working in the corporate world, she said, this has to change. Like, we have to make this process of egg donation and egg freezing, we can make it better. And I was so taken with this story, with Lauren's story, and about her business, because donor conception is one that so many more people are turning to, especially as people are getting older and older and biology just isn't on their side anymore. And to know that there's something out there that could make things a lot easier from so many perspectives, I thought I just needed to share it all with you. And to be clear, I say this also in the introduction, this is not about promoting her business. I don't have any discount codes. I don't get any kickbacks. Like, there's none of that going on here. This is a story of a woman who said, I can do this better. We can make this easier for people. And I want more people to have access to this, because this is the way the world is going. More and more and more people are turning to donors, donor egg, donor sperm, donor embryos, surrogacy. They're turning to donors to be able to build their families. And so, why not make it easier? So take a listen. It's so powerful to hear how she came up with this concept and how she's pushing it forward, but also just to hear her own personal fertility story and everything that she went through herself. So take a listen. Hi, I'm Dr. Amy Barron, the founder and executive director of the nonprofit I Was Supposed to Have a Baby. On this podcast, I invite different people to join me in conversations about infertility, pregnancy loss, infant loss, surrogacy, adoption, and so much more. We laugh, we cry, and we challenge the Jewish community to think differently about a topic that has been shrouded in secrecy and shame for so long. So join me as we talk away the taboo. Hi, everybody. I'm sitting here with Dr. Lauren Hofstatter, and we just had this really interesting conversation about how to talk about things that the general community doesn't talk about in a substantive way, and therefore these conversations are taboo. So welcome to the name of our podcast, Talking Away the Taboo. And I feel like Dr. Hofstatter, I'm going to use it now, but then I'm going to switch to Lauren, okay?
Yeah.
I feel like you do this a lot in your own work.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, it's pretty much the primary of my work is people asking me, because there are other people on social media that do similar work to what I do. They answer the hard questions in terms of sexuality, intimacy, relationships in that realm, even in terms of not as much parenting, but fine. The difference is I do it with a halachic lens, meaning I'm not going to sit are there things that are happening within the Jewish community that maybe, and this is where my work becomes a little bit hard, is that I do have a clinical degree.
Yeah.
So are some of the things that people ask me would be considered okay? I don't want to use the word normal, because nothing, most of the things people are asking me are considered normal. But they don't align with Torah values. That's the bottom line. So that's where my job gets dicey in terms of my answers, just because I'm not going to sit here and say something I don't know, I want to try to use something not too over the top. I don't know,
something over the top. You something. No.
No, I mean open, the concept of open marriage. That's not something that aligns with Torah values. It's just not. Do I also think it's bad for marriages? Sure, but that's my opinion. There are plenty of people in the clinical sexology relationship, marriage, and family therapy space that might say that for certain couples that that's great. It's not something that if somebody that I'm working with is asking me to come with the Torah values, Pekala, the bag,
Yep.
I'm not going to be the one to be like, "Oh yeah, sure. Just figure out how to make it work and like you're down for an open marriage." No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say if this is something that you want to do, we can talk about it, but you do know this does not align with halacha. So that's kind of where my job gets like a little bit blurry and people don't love that. Meaning, let's say like my which I know that you know this, like my stories are very popular because it's all NGL anonymous based questions.
For the people who are not on social media, who are not on
Okay.
Instagram, just
So
go back for 5 seconds and just give a little bit more framing.
okay, so on Instagram there's an app where you can post where I as the person that is on the person that has the account can post a link where people can then click and ask an anonymous question. And I have no idea who they are. There's a way where you can like pay to find out their location. I don't bother with that typically unless it gets like weird, like stalkery and odd. I don't do that because then you can block somebody also on the app from being able to ask questions continuously. But basically, what people do, I leave the link live always. And every couple of days or whenever it is, if I have time, I go in and I start answering questions. So some of the feedback I've gotten on them, and as this has progressed in the last couple of years with answering the questions, you have to be very careful what you post on social media, right? I've gotten the feedback of like, I don't like sometimes the questions, which I'm sure as a doctor you've seen this too, if you don't have a full comprehensive context of the person's like situation, I can't answer a question without asking more questions.
Of course.
Right. So but people get real they're like, I feel like you answer your questions with more questions. I'm like, first of all, I need context to be able to answer this. You can't just say to me, I think I'm being like God, I mean, this is I get this question all the time and it's very hard and sad. Um, I think I'm being abused, like emotionally, physically, something, or is this considered sexual abuse? I'm like, I need context. Like I can't like I don't like yeah, there are some things that like are very clearly abuse, but if you're the one being abused and you're not sure, you're expecting me to just like say yes, no, maybe like it's just so that's also another space where I do try to make that a resource for the community, the Jewish community at large, just because number one, it helps other people that are reading the stories not feel so alone. That I've gotten a lot.
Yep.
Not feel like they're the only ones having these feelings, not feel like they're like, oh, like other people like are not completely happy in their marriages. Like we're allowed to like, you know what I mean? Like I'm allowed
Yeah.
to ask these questions. I mean, I've also gotten the feedback of like, oh my God, like marriage is horrible. Like I should never get like I'm like, listen, you know what? Like you can look at it as you want to look at it. But the bottom line is like it ends up being a resource for people. That being said, also there are certain times where um it's really a shaila. It's a shaila. Like I'm not. It's not something that I feel like I
Shyla
can
meaning question for people
question.
who
Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a
all
question
good.
for a rabbi, not a question for anyone else but a rabbi. So thank God, I don't say who it is, but a rabbi from my community gave me an anonymous link for him that I can I can direct message to people that if they post an anonymous question and I'm like, this is really a question, not a question for me. It's more of a question for a rabbi. Please private message me and I'm happy to send you the link. And I send it all the time, meaning private
Wow.
message. And again, it's totally anonymous. He's able to respond to them anonymously. It's like some crazy program that he's able to do. And it works. You know what I'm saying? Because again, unfortunately, I have so many people, because again, within the realm of Orthodox Judaism, there is the concept, or even, I mean, I don't know. Well, let's say Orthodox Judaism. I'm thinking Judaism, period. But
Yeah.
within the realm of Judaism, there is a concept of asking a rabbi certain questions. Some people don't love that. Like, why do I have to ask a rabbi if I can be on birth control or not? What? Okay, like it's a, you know what I mean? Like, fine.
Yep.
But a lot of times people don't have a rabbi they feel okay asking these types of questions to at all. Like, even if it's not something like sexually, I don't want to
Yep.
even say out there. Some of it's like super regular, basic sexual related stuff. But they don't feel comfortable. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to ask. So when you know that you're asking somebody that you know who knows halacha and you know who or Jewish law and you know who knows, um you can trust to give you the answer, that because you have to also think like when you're asking a rabbi, they're like a messenger from God, and that they get like a certain level of like insight of how to answer these questions, right? That's what you have to hope. So that also definitely helps me bridge the gap within my work. That being said, there are times where the person will DM me like, "Oh, I'm totally unaffiliated," or "I'm not Jewish. I just have this question," and then I'll answer it without that. But it
Yeah.
definitely becomes like that line becomes blurred in terms of that's also a big question talking about the taboo. Like, what is taboo? Is what I'm doing normal? Is this okay? Um, Even the concept of like something happened to me as a child, but I don't think it's really affecting me as an adult. Is that okay? Am I allowed to just move on with my life? And I'm thinking like, and they're asking me, I don't know who any of these people are. I don't
And you're getting like two sentences, if that, right?
exactly. So
Like,
sometimes I'll
yeah,
get a private message and then I'm able to have a little bit more of a conversation with the person. But even that, sometimes I'll be like, listen, this really needs an appointment. Like this is not enough for
yeah,
me to give you what you need. It's not only about me sitting on my phone all day answering things. It's not about that. It's because part of what I do, yeah, I do have a private practice. I do, yes, I do all those things. Um, but it's also to help the Jewish community and help people navigate this type of stuff. But
of course.
sometimes it's just like I need to like see your face and like talk to you like via Zoom or and like we need to have a real conversation. I know a lot of times it's because they're scared. It's not even about like a financial investment or anything like that. It's more so like I've been judged my whole life for certain things. Are you going to be another person that's going to judge me for X or for Y or for whatever? You know what I'm saying? So that part's the hard part.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take it one step further and ask you, you're talking about the general realm of the body of work that you do, which is, I mean, you're called the orthodox therapist. Like
Mhm.
you deal with all different kinds of issues that people come to you and they know specifically on social media, they know that they can get that private answer from you in like, a 5-second clip, so to speak,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
But like, I I want to center this and say like I'm curious about the conversations that you're having that people are coming to you specifically asking in regard to fertility struggles. And also I think hand in hand like their relationship or their marriage struggles because I think that at least what I sit with is people who number one don't realize that other people are going through this so already they feel like an outsider and it feels like how can I ask these questions. Number two is they're also like when you're dealing with a relationship, when you're dealing with marriage, and like maybe one partner is feeling one way and another partner is feeling another way, the fact that they're not agreeing, again, does this mean that our marriage is in trouble? Does like what does it mean about like should we even consider having kids or move forward with this process? Like, and I could speak like we could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 100. There are a million
Right.
different pieces to that. So I guess I'm I'm wondering if you could talk about like what are the things that people feel are taboo within like the confines of like relationships related to fertility? Like what are the things that people are coming to you with?
So it's actually so interesting because I just met with right before we started recording, I met with somebody who's going through this process right now. Happens to be Jewish, but not religious at all. Not that it matters. And most of our conversation was about um because they don't even know if there's an issue yet. Like they just started the process of like going through like the HSG and the saline ultrasound and all those pieces. Um More so she's going through a lot emotionally and that her husband, she's worried that her husband, and he's expressed it, so it's legitimate worry. Her husband doesn't have the space to express how he feels and what he's going through. And she said, like, it happens to be she's a therapist herself, which could be helpful or not, but whatever.
Always.
Right. Um, and she said, like, I just want to be able to make him feel like he can have a space to like have emotions about this too, because we are going through it together. And I said, okay, like that's actually good. That's positive. So maybe have a conversation with him where you say, like, I know that you know I'm struggling. I know that you know this is hard for me, but I don't want you to feel like you have nobody to talk to. Because again, it's not the kind, like, yes, you can go to support groups, etc. It's not the kind of thing like either person should be like sitting and like chatting about with their friend. I don't know. Like I find that weird. Like the deep inner parts of your relationship, like going through infertility is a very personal journey for a husband and a wife. And I just feel like having those conversations with friends, meaning like I'm picturing like a bunch of women sitting around drinking coffee talking about their infertility struggles. Like I guess there could be some positive parts about it, but like I don't know. It's like talking about the inner workings of anything within your marriage. Like, I don't know if it's like the world's best idea, but in this case, it was more so how do I support my partner in a way that they still feel supported and that it's not going to trigger me? That was,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, that like
Interesting.
she was like, what if I start crying and like then he'll feel like he can't talk? I said, well, maybe tell him that. Maybe say, like, I am really emotional about it. I might start crying, but it's okay, like, so that's one thing that concept of, one partner feeling nervous to share with the other one in the fear of them getting, like, emotionally triggered or upsetting them or that type of thing. Number 2, which I see a lot, I don't know if you see a lot of this, I'm not sure why there's not more, discussion about male factor infertility. Yeah, and
I'm nodding here. If anyone is listening and they're not watching, I'm nodding.
I've had too many people in my office where they say the husband and wife will come together and the wife will say, you know, everybody assumes we do IVF because of me, and it's not me. It's my husband. My husband has uh whatever issue. I can my husband has a varicocele and we can't they couldn't whatever, so people just assume it's me. And I'm walking around town. I don't say anything because my husband doesn't need people to know his personal medical history. But people just make the assumption it's always the wife, always the woman that has the infertility struggle, where in reality, it could be the man or it could be they both have something going on. So it's just I find a lot of that also and that's like a very big generalization. I don't think it's just within the Jewish community. I think it's like a infertility global issue. Um
1,000%.
yeah, because also the concept, like when I was working with this couple specifically where the man had male factor infertility and the wife was completely healthy, um, I said, like, well, have you ever been to like other like what kind of support groups? Because he was saying, like, I wish there was something that I could do, like outside of our conversations. Like, there's not a lot. There's very limited support groups for men.
Yeah.
Very limited. So,
Yeah.
which I was shocked by. I was like, "What?" Like thank God, like this day and age, we have many organizations that deal with infertility and struggles and helping couples have babies. It was just so shocking to me that it's not there's no light shined in a positive way on that side of infertility. And I wonder if it's maybe because like maybe a guy would feel emasculated. I don't know, but like you don't have control. Sorry to break it to you, buddy. Like you can't so that's
Hey,
a space that I think also needs to be more um there needs to be more conversation around that and making men and couples feel more comfortable because guess what? Like if there's no resources, the wife doesn't know what to do either.
okay, so you wanna hear something really interesting? We have tried many, many, many times, both within my organization and in other organizations. I was at a different organization before this. I was at Nechama Comfort before
Mhm.
this. Um, tried to have support groups for men. And what ended up happening is the men didn't come.
I
They didn't
know.
show up. They didn't show up. Like they, for I and my the read of it that I've gotten, and I've sat in different like consortiums of different organizations and talking, like, it's not only in the Jewish world, it's in the general
I know,
world, exactly as you said, at large, is that men don't, and we're generalizing here, right?
for
That
sure.
men in general don't seem to have the same need to process in a group in the same way that women do. Not that they don't need a place to process, because they absolutely do, but that, like, let's sit down now for the next 60 to 90 minutes with, 10 other people who are in your same situations and talk about that. Like, it doesn't seem to be as necessary for them. What they seem to want instead is, let's go to a sports bar, or let's go to the Yankees game, or let's hang out and go golfing. And while we're golfing, like, if it happens to come up, be like, yeah, I'm going through a hard time. Oh, you're going through a hard time. I'm going through a hard time. Okay, great. Like, why don't you like go and like pitch the ball now? Like it comes up in these more organic and like not concrete, but organic and like one-off ways. And because they're doing general bonding, that seems to be enough. Like, many of them still need individual therapy, but like, for whatever reason, group therapy seems not to be what people want. Now, please, all the men out there, or the wives of the men out there who are listening to this, like, tell me or tell us that we're wrong. I'm
Yeah.
happy to start a group at any time. But you're 1,000% right that the women, the person who is quote unquote not the problem, and more often in this kind of situation, the woman is the one who everybody just makes the assumption, like, oh, it's her
Yeah. And it's
issue.
really
It's her issue.
sad. I've had situations where within our community where it's come up. I live in Florida, so within my community, and I've had people, like, I've had friends that they've been through this process and whatever, and they would say to me, like, it's so unfair. And, like, again, you want to protect your spouse. It's not even
Of
an
course.
option. The same way that your husband's not going to walk around talking about your fertility, you're not going to walk around talking about your husband. But she said, like, it's just like, she's like, I feel like people just like look at me and make that assumption, and it's so unfair. Like what? Like, why is that okay? You know what I mean? And also, like, there are sometimes fertility things that they're not necessarily like fertility based, meaning I can't get pregnant, or more so like genetic issues that we have to navigate,
Yep.
things like that. So, like, if somebody's doing IVF, why are we making the assumption that, like, oh, something must be broken?
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Oh,
think that that goes back to also this like deep pressure that exists in our community, in the Orthodox community, but I think even in the Jewish community at large, just about like how much people just have all these expectations, right? Like, you're going to get married and you're going to have a baby right away. And then when you
right.
don't, there's like years and years and years, maybe it happens. And then you don't, it's that pity. And then you feel ashamed. And then you feel
And which
like
is
you're so
also an assumption, by the way.
correct.
I've had friends
Correct.
who have gotten married young. I got married pretty young. I chose to have my kids through being in school, etc. But I have many friends that chose not to, whether they went to medical school or dental school, and like that was their path, and they knew they were going to be in school for the next 6 years. Because I got married a year after I got back from Israel, so I was a sophomore in undergrad. And I still have many years of schooling left, obviously. But I made that choice to get married and have kids. But I could have also very easily made the choice, meaning chosen to stay on birth control, etc., whatever it was, to prioritize being in school. Having babies while being in school is rough. It's really rough. And it's not for everyone. It's just not. So I think that that's also true, that this concept of, oh, like, we need to rush. Also, I mean, at least within, not everyone, I don't want to generalize, but within the Orthodox Jewish community, there's definitely an issue of this rush, 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 rush. But, like, some of these people don't even know each other.
Right.
Like, they know each other for maybe 3, 4, 5 months. They get married, which I'm not knocking the shidduch system. Whatever. It is what it is. I'm not like here to see, like, everyone asks me, like, well, what are you gonna do about this? Like, me? What
Wait,
am
wait,
one what
you don't have the solution for all
right.
these problems?
Somebody asked me, like, this was so this whole concept of it's gonna sidetrack a drop, but the whole concept of Orthodox Jews and segregation as, like, for teenagers and whatever in terms of gender,
Yep.
and how it can potentially cause issues. Yeah, it could. Somebody literally asked me, Dr. Hofstatter, what are you going to do to solve this problem? I'm like, there's nothing to do to solve the problem. Like, it's a problem. This is part of our religious beliefs. And by the way, for a good reason that we segregate like girls and boys at a young age where their not brains are not fully formed. And like, yeah, no, like, I don't think it's necessarily bad. Could it, for some people, potentially yeah, for sure. Anything could potentially cause issues later on down the line. But yeah, I don't know. Like these bigger global huge things like and some of them are not going to change because based on our values and the decisions we've made, it's not going to change. But in terms of the male support, it's I hear what you're saying. It's interesting, but like in terms of like, oh yeah, we like went to play golf and like it just came up and we mentioned it. It's interesting to me, but then I would think like as the wife, if my husband came home and was like, "Oh yeah, I was golfing with like Yaakov and like it came up that like we're going through the same fertility struggle." I'd be like, "Why the heck are you having a conversation on the golf course about like my fertility?" Like that's so odd to me. Like, why are we having this conversation like in the like okay, like was that you know what I mean? Like it just feels weird, but like I guess I'd rather them be having the conversation than
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I hear
Look,
you.
I mean, back to your point though of like, that you think that, sitting around at a coffee shop or whatever, as people are having coffee and talking about their fertility stuff isn't necessarily like the best way to process. I'm actually going to push back and say that, okay, is it the best way to process? No, certainly not. But there is so much comfort in having conversations with people who you deeply trust and like, hey, I'm
So
really
that
going
would be the
through that.
difference. That would be the difference for me. If it's like your friend group, it's 3 or 4 women that you're deeply connected with and you're sharing this with them, that's different. I was more thinking like a bunch of 10 women out to coffee and like we're casually
Uh,
talking, meaning also the concept of like casually talking about your sex life.
yeah. Yeah.
That's that's highly
Weird.
inappropriate.
Yeah. Totally
Highly
inappropriate.
inappropriate.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that would be the difference for me. If it's like your few close friends, you chose to go out for coffee, if they're your close friends, they know you're going through something already. So if you feel comfortable sitting and having that conversation, go for it. I'm down. But it's more so when it becomes like almost socially acceptable to just be having these deeper conversations about like the intimate pieces and channels of your marriage, like it's a no for me. It's just a no.
Look, yes, clearly in public discourse as yes,
Right, that's what I'm saying,
a
and some
thousand
people
percent.
are more open than others. Some people will be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, yeah, like, what do you mean? Like, I did an IVF transfer last week, and, like, I'm doing great, and, like, we're great, and we're just sitting like, okay, like, we're not even like, I don't
Yep.
even know where you
Yep.
live. Like, why are you telling like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're they're my
I
friend, it's different."
it's and so so I'm going to push you further and say, what do you think about pregnancy announcements, especially in the frum world, and in light of all of the people that you and I both know struggling who are dealing with
Right.
all kinds of different things? What do you think
So,
about?
okay, personally, and it actually happened recently, I saw somebody posting something after, posting a pregnancy announcement after a very long journey with infertility. I don't agree with posting it while you're pregnant at all. I think it's um honestly, it just puts more eyes on a situation that's already very delicate. Like pregnancy in general is delicate, even though like it's considered quote unquote normal obviously and natural, but like anything can happen ever. So like it's one thing if people in your community see you when you look pregnant, fine. Or even like I've gotten this question a lot, like, when can I share with my close friends or family that I'm pregnant? And I said, I'll be honest with you, like the way that I gauge this is the same people that God forbid I would tell if something was wrong are the people that I would tell early pregnancy. I'd be okay with that personally for myself. So I think I there was even a woman actually this was a couple of months ago, who's in her mid 40s and found out she was pregnant and did this whole, and not Jewish, totally unaffiliated. I mean, I don't think she's Jewish, but like a random person on social media did this whole pregnancy announcement thing and whatever. And then saw like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, she ended up delivering her baby at like 27 weeks, 5 days, something happened. And so like, and then she posted it. I'm like, guys, like there needs to be a little bit more Well, sensitivity to the people that are struggling, that's number one, which I think has gotten a little bit better. But number two, like, why? Like, why do people have to know the inner workings of your uterus? I don't I don't get it. Like, and why are people so concerned? Like, it's one thing to post when a baby is born. That I think is okay. Like, once the baby's born, people are gonna have their feelings about it regardless. But like that, I think is more okay. But posting while you're pregnant, I just find it like what are you doing it for? Like endorsements? Like you want free baby clothes? Like what are you doing it for? Attention? Like why? So
I,
I don't know.
and then I'm going to ask you sort of the flip of, okay, now, because I'm sure you deal with this, with the people who are struggling and they're like bombarded with these pregnancy announcements all the time. And
Mhm.
obviously, like people all around them, especially in our world, in the orthodox world, like people are having babies all the time.
Yeah.
The question is like, how do you recommend people deal with it? I mean, yes, you can shut off your phone, but like you can't stop going to the grocery store. You can't
Right.
stop going like to the park. You can't stop going to shul. Like
Um
so you can't not spend Shabbos with people just because you know they're pregnant or they just had a baby.
I'll be honest with
How
you.
do
There are
you
situations like people think because I have 10 kids, I've never had an issue. It's not the truth at all. There were definitely times where, you know, not God forbid we were struggling, but it was taking longer than I would have anticipated to get pregnant. And there are times I did not handle it well at all. Like I would like totally like somebody very close to me had called me to tell me she was pregnant. This was years and years and years ago. It was when I was trying to get pregnant with my second. So she's 17. So this was a long time ago. And it happened to be that that day I had taken a pregnancy test and it was negative. And she called me to tell me she was pregnant, and I couldn't even get a word out. I just started crying. I felt so bad. I didn't know what to do. I felt so bad. I ended up, like, giving the phone to my husband and just being like, "Can you, like" I don't know what to do. And then it happened to be the next day I took another one and I was pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so then I ended up calling the person back. I told my husband, like, "I can't not call her. Like, this is, like, ridiculous. Like, I just, like, crapped on her pregnancy announcement. Like, I need to, like, call her and say something." So I did.
Yeah.
But these types of things when it comes to socializing and, like, feeling the feelings and, like, the emotions, like, I agree with you. I don't think you should just, like, avoid it and, like, turn off your phone and because I think also it gets to a point where, like, okay, let's say you're struggling with infertility and you have a friend who's pregnant. I'm not saying it's not hard on you, but it's really hard on your friend too. Like
Yeah.
they want to be able to share this with you because it's like this weird incongruence of like if I share it with her, it might hurt her, but if I don't share it with her, it's going to hurt her. Like do I wait for her to just see I have a big belly and then she's going to be like, "Hey, are you pregnant? Like we're friends. Why wouldn't you tell me?" So
Yeah.
it's almost like what's the socially acceptable way to like share a pregnancy? I don't know. I mean, we've discussed this outside of the podcast in terms of just like maybe consider sending a text instead of a phone call. That way the person has time to like, which I agree with, by the way, overall, when you're sharing really hard things, if you can send a text and be like, I'm sending you this, like, and preface it, like, I'm sending you this as a text because I know this might be hard for you to hear. And I don't want to I want to be able to put you in a situation that's prime for you to be able to process. So, like, that's not a terrible idea. But like, I know for me, it actually happened the other day. Somebody called me to tell me they were pregnant, and she told me via text, and I was like, "No, no," she didn't call me, she told me via text, and I was like
Okay.
it was on Mother's Day, actually. I was like, "What? Like, what are you doing?" She's like, "I don't know, like, it's just weird, and, like, I don't wanna have to, like, announce it. I just want people to, like, gets to a point where for the pregnant person and for the people that she wants to tell, just gets, like, awkward. You know what I mean? Like
I I just find this whole like, having to like there's this weird space that people are in because people make such a big deal about pregnancy announcements. Some people, right? So then
Mhm.
it almost like normalizes the like needing to tell people, and
Right.
then like you don't know who's really struggling or who's not, or maybe who's going through a difficult time in general and like just can't handle your news right now. And so the whole thing becomes this like weird, awkward
But then what
kind
do
of
you
thing
do? Like, do you
you
just,
like
like,
need
walk
to
around town?
do. Right. Like,
There's
look,
no
I
right
mean,
way to do it, that's the problem. There
no,
really
there's
is.
right. Correct. The only right way, and I agree with you. In fact, somebody just messaged me this morning. I get this message usually about like 5 times a week. It's like ridiculous, but like I'm pregnant. My friend is dealing with infertility. I don't know how to tell her. Or my friend just had a miscarriage or a loss. I don't know how to tell her. We
Mhm.
don't live in the same community. So it's not like she could just see me and
She's gonna
know.
see
And
me.
if she sees me and knows, that also would be weird because I'm such a good friend of hers. So
There's
why
no
wouldn't
good
I
answer. It's always
ready?
weird.
Like, so I always say, like, just text them. Just text them, tell them, I love you. I deeply care about you. I know that this might be difficult for you to hear, but again, like your words, like I'm sending you this like by text specifically because I want you to be able to process in a private way, and like I'm just letting you know. And if also, I always say to add, if you can't see me for a while or if you don't want to talk to me for a while, I totally understand. Just know that I love you, and
Right.
however you want to answer it, I'll finish that up. But it's
Right.
hard. It was hard.
Right. No,
It's
it's really
always,
hard. There's no good way. That's the thing. There's no good way,
yeah, yeah.
you know?
And I think like the other piece of it also is like I've had this question, and you and I have spoken about this as well. What happens when you're dealing with a couple or an individual in session who like is dealing with infertility or just had a loss, and you as a therapist or you as a professional, as the doctor, you're pregnant, and then how do you share that with the person who you're supposed to be holding or taking care of at that point? Like, there are no good ways, there are no good answers. Like, there are no good answers.
There really aren't. There's no good ways. There's no way to say it in a way. Because also, by the way, even if it's not someone who's dealing with infertility, um, it's clients in general, and then they see you're pregnant, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like she's gonna go on maternity leave. What am I gonna do? How am I gonna function without her? She's gonna have to be gone for at least a few weeks." So it's just like there's no, I don't know. There's no good way
There,
because again, when you're at least with my patients, with my clients, when they're working with me, it's almost like my my personal life, like, obviously is not involved. So it's like in their head, like, they're my world. They're like it's like a small microcosm of you know what I mean? Like, that's so when they know something like that could be happening or any kind of big life event, I don't know, if one of my children was getting married or if I was gonna be on vacation. Not I mean, it's not such a big life event, but, like, I'm gonna be on vacation for 2 weeks. Like, Pesach this past year was so rough for some of my clients that, like, I had to do Zoom on Chol because I
yeah,
can't just expect people to like, you know what? Turn off your mental health for 2 weeks. It's going to be
yeah,
fine. Like, you know what I mean? So like it's finding that balance of like, I don't know. It's not these types of things are never easy. You know, when you're trying to help people and trying to get people through tough things, like whether it be fertility or anxiety or anything, it's hard.
correct,
It's really hard.
correct. Hi, everyone. It's Amy. I just wanted to take a quick moment to say that if talking away the taboo means something to you, if you've listened to an episode and felt less alone, more seen, or more understood, please support us so we can continue doing this important work. Everything we offer, this podcast, our support groups, our resources, all of them are completely free. And that's intentional, actually, because we never want someone to have to choose between getting help and affording it. But truthfully, we can't do this without your help. So if you're in a position to give even just a little, it really helps keep us going. It helps someone else find the support that they need too. So please donate at iwassupposedtohaveababy.org/donate. It's really easy and it really makes a difference. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being part of this community.
When you're trying to help people and trying to get people through tough things, like whether it be fertility or anxiety or anything, it's hard.
Correct.
It's really
Correct.
hard.
Correct. I deeply appreciate this, like this idea as a supporter, as a clinician, as someone who like your job is to be there for people, and like you can't just disappear when
Right.
like you can't just disappear when you know people are going through the most difficult time. I mean, we actually, as an organization, made the decision for the first time ever in almost 7 years. We officially closed over Pesach. And I
So we
had this
did. So
whole,
I closed too.
yeah.
But some of
Okay.
my
Well, we'll talk
clients have
about what
my
we
cell phone number, and
closed.
I said, if there's an
Right.
emergency,
Right.
what am I going to do?
Right. So do you know what right. So closed for us meant that all of our staff was off, every single one of them. Um, we had things that we regularly on Holomoid that we put out that we knew would be helpful. But
Hmm.
but as you just said, and as we all know, holiday times are very, very, very stressful for people in the
Beyond.
fertility community. They're stressful for everybody, but
Exactly.
especially if you're struggling. And I couldn't not be available for people, especially
Right.
on social media. And after the holiday, I counted, I got more messages during that period than I had in the 6 months prior. Like in that
Yeah. It's
those
been
like short days, like a 5 day period of Holomoid or whatever it was, I got more messages than any 5 day period prior to that. Like it was wild.
right.
But we know that. But we
Right. So
know
I
that.
get that also, meaning, yeah, I get that a lot also. There was actually, I forgot when it was, maybe, I think February when New York had that crazy snowstorm. And obviously I live in Florida. I didn't know. I mean, I knew about the snowstorm. I have family in New York, but like I wasn't thinking about it. And the whole day, my phone was ringing off the hook. And I had a regular day. Like I was seeing clients. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, why? What? And again, it's these couples stuck home with all their kids. You can't go outside because it's a blizzard. So they're calling their therapist, like, please
Yeah.
help me. We're going to kill each other. Like,
Yeah.
so, but, and that's the same concept, it could be for some people, the same concept with holidays, especially Pesach this year was a 3-day yontiv. It
Yep.
was a lot,
Yep.
a lot. So, and your kids are home for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then even cause I also see clients in Israel, like the whole period where the kids weren't in school for like, who knows how long
Oh
because
yeah.
of the war.
During the war and oh yes. Oh yes.
Exactly, like, that also,
Yeah.
like and it's just it's interesting, like, yeah, that's when people need the most support and when the providers need the biggest break. It's hard.
Correct.
It's
Correct.
hard.
And balance. Balance.
Mhm.
Okay, let's
Exactly.
switch gears for a second and let's talk about like intimacy and people's sex lives as they're also going through trying to have a baby, dealing with losses, grief,
Mhm.
pain, etc. What do you see come up most for people like in this time in their lives?
So, in the non-religious community, I see a lot of, like, when they're going through that process of, like, the initial testing, like, let's say the HSG and the ceiling ultrasound and the blood work and the woman is she's like, "I just had so many things up there, like, I am not interested in being touched in a sexual way right now. I'm just not." And she's like, "And I feel bad because my husband's, like, mentioning it casually, but, like, it's just too much for me." So I see that part. And then when it comes to the Orthodox Jewish world or in the Jewish world, people keeping Taharas Mishpacha, keeping family purity, um, that whole concept of after a loss or even when you have a baby, even postpartum or whatever it is, that concept of having to separate and not being able to touch and not being able to have that physical connection is devastating for people. It's extremely difficult. And then there are also times even within um fertility treatments when like it's these high intensity things. Some of these things could potentially put you into NIDA, into I don't know how to explain that in English in a way.
Into a state where you might be bleeding and that bleeding would
Right. Right. In a
necessitate you
time that you
separating
weren't
from your husband.
right. And it
How's
would
that? Did I do a good
perfect.
job?
Perfect. And you wouldn't be expecting it because they don't know for sure if it's gonna and then it's like devastating. Like you don't have your like getting a hug from a friend is not the same as like cuddling and sitting with your husband. It's just and listen, thank God I've never had to really that's not true actually. I'm thinking like for clients, if I've ever had to ask a Shaila about these kinds of things, definitely after pregnancy loss, especially when it's like a later term loss, it's really like it's extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. And then like when you do ask the question to a rabbi, let's say, like, is there any like leeway with this or whatever, and they say no, it's like,
Oh,
are
it's
you
it's
just like
Yeah.
insensitive? Like, do you
Yeah.
not understand like what
Yeah.
we've just been through? It's just it's heartbreaking. It's devastating. It's really hard. But I'm still seeing within the non-religious or non-Jewish community that like either let's say even if the husband has to have some kind of procedure or whatever it is, like they're just not into it. They're like they could cuddle, they could sit together, they still have that like emotional connection. So in that space, I think it's easier. But in terms of the
Interesting.
physical intimacy piece, like sometimes like one or both partners are like really not into it. And then they go back to that stage of like, oh my God, is our marriage broken? Are we broken people now? Is that what we're doing? Like our marriage is terrible because we just don't want to have sex anymore. Like, first of all, some of these things are temporary, number one. But number two, like I could hear why that would feel very like, I could get why that's very scary for a couple to just feel like we're like not only are we physically having an issue in terms of like fertility, but like we're falling apart emotionally now and like we don't even want to be physical with each other because and like we had a good sex life before this. Like why, you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
hard. It's very
Yeah.
difficult.
And yeah, I think that I've seen a lot of people where they just say like I just uh, I'm having all these feelings like exactly as you described. And I also don't know how to bring it up because I feel if I air it, then maybe that actually means we're having a problem. And like, I don't want to talk about it. So like, can you help me figure out how to share it or how do we
Right.
work through it? It's the scariness of also just airing it.
So that I do a lot of. That I help couples with a lot. Like sometimes I end up not all the time, but it's with hard meaning not even necessarily this, like with hard like I don't want to say high conflict. This is not high conflict, but hard things you have to share with your spouse period. When I have couples that I'm working with, a lot of times it's like me facilitating one partner to help them tell their spouse something hard and preparing the spouse, etc., whether it be about their sex life, which that I get a tremendous amount of, like sexual preference, things like that, etc., or something like this, where I prepped this woman 2 hours ago, like maybe frame it this way that you want like like that I like it's not that I don't want to be with you like I'm just not feeling like a sexual person right now because of what I'm going through like what we're going through. I'm just not feeling it. It's not that I don't want to, it's just I just don't feel like myself. I don't feel good in my body right now. So I do a lot of that also, like helping couples navigate the hard conversations, whether it be about this or about other things.
And do you think that like when people are dealing with a tremendous amount of grief and pain, especially in the loss space, and they're just really not connecting because one person is really holding the grief more, and it's not always necessarily the woman.
No.
I mean, as
Yeah.
you know, right? Like a
Yeah.
lot of times it's the man, like the woman's off and she's like back to work and fine, and like it's really the man who's really struggling much more. Um, I wonder, like, what do you advise people in that regard?
When one spouse is struggling more than the other in terms of the grief
Yeah,
space.
yeah.
So I think a big part of that would be, let's say it's the husband who's struggling more. It would kind of be, I would probably have it, honestly, I would probably have an individual session with him and kind of just say, because again, I feel like in terms of, I mean, my only comparison, thank God to this, is when I lost my father. It was very sudden. And I kind of didn't even know like what grieving was or like what I was supposed to do. So my husband asked me, he's
Even as a therapist, even as a
yeah, I was
therapist.
20. So yeah, this was 10 years ago.
Okay.
So I was younger, obviously, and like it was also super unexpected. So it was kind of like like it was very weird. But my husband asked me, he's like I don't know what to do. Like how can I be there for you? So that might be the first step of the wife looking at the husband and saying like I just want you to know, or the opposite direction, whoever's struggling more,
Yeah.
I just want you to know that like I want to be able to be there for you. It's probably a little bit triggering for you to see me be like so okay, whatever that means. Um like how can I be there for you in the way that you need? Is it just sitting with you? Is it, talking it through? Is it coming to therapy with you? Is it, do you know what I mean? Like, it's more so, I think the concept, and this is in general, not just in this space, of helping somebody in the way that they need, not in the way that you think they need, is like a lost art.
Say more, because I fully agree with you, because I think we have this idea that like, oh, like to feel better, like you need like a pot of chicken soup and then you
Right.
need like a manicure and then like everything's going to be fine for a woman.
Right, right. No, so it's so I think it's more so it's even like the whole like this is so superficial, but like the concept of like meal trains after a loss or having a baby or whatever and like some people I don't want your meal train. Like I would much rather you do, I don't know, something else, whatever the woman needs. But again, like if you're not going to be able to help somebody in the way that they need that connects with them, that's not help. Then you're doing it for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, either you could be there for the person in the way that they need, or rather maybe don't do it. Like, maybe just don't. Maybe they don't, you know what I'm saying? It's more frustrating as the person that's asking for the help. Because again, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it exists. I'm very much not the type. I hate asking people for help. It's really hard for me, even my own kids. I don't like asking them for help. Unless they ask me, like, oh, mommy, how, like, can I do X or mommy, whatever, fine. But like, otherwise, I don't ask them. It's hard for me. But my husband will always say to me, like, Lauren, we have an army of children. Any of them could be doing this. Why are you asking me? And I'm like, because when I ask them, I feel bad. When I ask you, you're my husband, you're supposed to do this. You know what I mean? Like, fine, whatever. But when a person is reaching out and already and asking for the help or whatever it is, because again, meal trains don't typically start, at least in our community. The shul finds out you had a baby. The community reaches out to you. Yes, yes, no, no, fine. But it's almost like this concept of if you can't help the person in the way that connects to and resonates with them, like and again, and not in a generalizing way, not in a, oh, I'm gonna buy her a manicure. She had a miscarriage. That'll make her feel better. Rather like sit and talk to her and ask her what would make her feel better. If you're her friend, you could do that. If you're not, why are you buying her a manicure? It might actually insult her more than anything else.
I think we do food really
Oh,
well
the
as a
Jews with their food.
community,
Oh yeah.
right? Like we do food really well. And I think it's almost as like a stand-in for actual support. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
That's exactly what I
This
was
is
gonna say.
hard. This is weird. I've never been trained to this. I haven't gone through this. I don't want to ever have to go through it, because also sometimes there's like oh, they went through that. And like, I like the people sometimes feel like that weird I and her thing, like that bad vibes, like bad karma, like, oh, it happened to her. Like, I don't want it to happen to me. But like, so I won't get too close. Like, I don't want to like ask them too much, but I'll like send them big CD. Like,
Right. And again, if the person is your friend, then like I can't imagine somebody wouldn't appreciate a text or a text if it's something like really sensitive and you don't want to overstep by a call. Saying like, "Hey, I'm thinking about you." So some people need more direct. Some people need like, "I think Tuesday night I'm going to send you X supper." Some people need that. So you have to gauge your friendships, obviously. But
yep.
it might just be like, "Hey, is there anything I could be like? Is there a time I can come over and visit?" Or I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you kind of have to gauge your friendships, etc. Um, and kind of, I mean, again, like if you hear somebody in your community has a miscarriage and you're not friendly with the person, you're not going to go over there and like try to talk to them. Like that would be super weird. I actually had that when I was sitting Shiva for my dad. Like, and I thought it was so weird. And again, I didn't even think about the concept. I was so young. Like, thank God I hadn't been to a lot of Shiva calls. Like, I never thought about it. But obviously, there's like a mitzvah, a good deed, to go to somebody's house when they're sitting Shiva to like talk to the person and whatever. But I had like strangers coming. I didn't even know them.
Really?
Yeah. And I looked at my husband and I was like, are these people like getting a mitzvah off my loss? Like, is that what we're doing? Like, that is so inappropriate and gross. Like, what are you doing? Like, it was so like that also, like, you need to like be socially normal. I don't know. Ask
Yeah.
questions, even if it's uncomfortable for you, which yeah, listen, it wasn't always so comfortable for me. It's something I had to work on, and now I have the reputation of being a little bit more forward. So like, okay, like people know like Lauren Hofstatter might send me a text. saying like, hey, um, can I like this I've done before for friends that have had babies or children who've had surgeries and hey, can I come pick up your kids? Like I would love to have them come play at my house.
Yeah.
That's not sending a pizza because that's not my strong suit. Meaning I'm already making dinner for an army. I'm not like in love with the idea of making dinner for another army of people. So sometimes I'll just be like, "Hey, can I send over one of my older girls to babysit and take your kids to the park?" Like you need to think about what the person might need as opposed to what you think they need. That's really the basic concept.
Yeah, I love that, and also it's like it's very practical because like my biggest beef with people during this like this time when people are struggling is like, just let me know if you need anything. Like when people say that, it actually drives me completely
Right.
insane because like when you are like when you can barely function or get out of bed, you're not thinking about like the list of 10 things that you want other
But
people
to
to do for you.
me, those people should not be reaching out to that woman because they're not friendly enough to reach out to them. Meaning,
Yes, but
if I
then
had,
but there are these yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
because let's say I have a friend locally here who's one of her children had to have like a pretty invasive surgery like 2 weeks ago ish, and I never would have reached out to her if it wasn't to say like, hey, because she has three children, so her oldest had to have some kind of surgery. And I said like, hey, can I send my 17-year-old over to like pick up the kids and like bring them to my house for a little bit? Like that would make sense. If you're just reaching out to somebody to make yourself feel good and say like, "Oh yeah, like I'm thinking Sarah, yeah, I know. It's so sad what she went through. I reached out to her. I asked her if I could be there for her."
Right. I mean
Then you're
that's
not
like
really friends. And that's
ridiculous.
okay. You don't
Yeah.
have to be friends with
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, 100%. But I think there's this like, it's a throwaway line that people
Yeah,
say, like when they
right.
hear that you've gone through something, or, if it's a few weeks or a few months later and they run into you at a kiddish or some kind of something, and they're like, oh, I heard that you blah, blah,
By the way,
blah.
that's the most
Um,
socially inappropriate thing ever of my life. I
okay.
had a friend here who unfortunately lost her husband a few years ago, and she literally wouldn't leave her house only because she was okay and her kids were okay and she ended up getting remarried and everything's fine now. But at the time, she would literally like walk through the kosher grocery with like her AirPods in and wouldn't look at people because they would just say the dumbest things. So dumb. So dumb.
Like what? Do you remember? Can I ask?
I remember
Because
when
I'm specifically asking because people say also the dumbest things
so I could
to
tell you my
people
story with this
in the
kind of thing
fertility world too.
in with fertility, but I remember I was with her at some kind of like boutique, one of these like pop-up boutique event things.
Yeah.
And somebody from the community, and this is when her husband was still alive, but it was like really much the end of her life, came up to
Or
her like
end of
in his
his
life.
life.
I'm sorry, end of his life. Yes. Came up to her and made a comment like, "Oh, are you the one with the sick husband?" So bad. She ended up picking up and leaving in the middle of the event. It was really bad. But even for me, so
Oh my goodness.
it was bad. Yeah. My last pregnancy, so my setup is I had at that point I had 7 girls and 2 boys. 2 girls, 2 boys, 5 girls. So I was pregnant and at my 20-week ultrasound, I shared this with you. At my 20-week ultrasound, we found out that our baby had a congenital heart condition. Thank God now she's 4, she's doing really well, Baruch Hashem. But at the time, like we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into. It was probably the most scary time as a parent. And again, this was my 10th child. It wasn't like it was my first child. It was just, it was, I didn't know how I was going to cope. And I remember we were at a wedding, I think, or a dinner or something, me and my husband. And again, somebody walked up to us, or I walked up to my husband, I think. He was talking to somebody. And the guy looks at me, he goes, "Ugh, who cares if it's not a boy, as long as it's healthy." And I'm thinking, well, we got neither. So thank you.
Oh, oh my goodness.
So, like, now, what did I learn from this experience? Anytime I see someone who's pregnant, I do not make any comment other than, you look great. That's it. I don't ask how they're feeling because they're probably feeling like crap. I don't ask how the pregnancy's going because it's none of my business. I don't ask anything because you know what? There's no, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You don't know. And the truth is, and that space, I didn't even know what was going on. It was just a baby floating around in there that, we kept everyone was davening for, and, like, at that point, people didn't really know what was going on other than our close circle and, like, our rabbis. until after the baby was born because she had surgery very, very soon post birth, her first procedure. Um, so it's almost like people just say things that they think that they're. The truth is, when he said it should just be healthy, that is a socially appropriate, normal thing to say to someone when they're pregnant. But he didn't know.
Right.
So what's he supposed to do? Like,
Right.
so again, it's more so just like, I don't know. I don't know if it's that like it's not that people need to be less sensitive, like meaning the people that are getting these comments made to them, but it's also hard. Like now everything is socially inappropriate. Like I can't talk in regular words. I don't know, man, maybe. I don't know what you know what I mean? Like I don't know what to say. Like it's very hard. You have to really think before you speak. It's really hard. So, yeah. That's
Someone
the kind of
once
things.
Yeah, so someone once asked me, like, listen, I'm gonna have a couple over who doesn't have kids, and we have two kids. One is a baby. So I was thinking, like, I don't want to trigger them when they come over. So I was thinking about putting away all the baby paraphernalia and like taking down the pictures off the wall of my kids. And I was like,
Do you
what are
think
you
the
doing?
person's not gonna notice? That's so
But no,
odd.
I'm like, they accepted the invitation and they
They know
knew you
have
had
children.
children. Like, what are you doing? Right? Like, there is like, look, there's a lot of work that all of us need to do to sensitize people into not saying dumb things, right?
Right.
There is a lot of work. And like this, like, you need to whitewash everything. And like, we can't say anything about our
Right.
lives for
Everything is
fear
PC. Everything.
like it's impossible and it's also unrealistic. So like I understand this idea of like your friend not wanting to leave her house because, of all the terrible things that people
I just
might
don't want
say.
people asking me questions. I'm going through
Right,
it, and like,
right.
and everyone knew, meaning everyone knew her husband was sick. We were all davening for him. Everyone knew, but like, she didn't want to have to walk around being like, oh, that sick guy's wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
And
don't
in the
want
same
it.
way, like, yeah, in the same way, after there's a very public loss where there's a stillbirth or where everybody
Yeah.
knows you went through some kind of tragedy, like it's people just like there's the head tilt that I always call it.
Yeah.
Like people are like, "Oh,
Oh. Yeah.
oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I didn't know what to say then. So like I'm not sure even what to say now, but I heard and I'm so sorry." Like it's like your
Say
voice
nothing. It's
drops.
so inappropriate. If we're not friends and you didn't call me when it happened, don't come up to me in shul, in synagogue, and make me uncomfortable because guess what? For many people that have gone through something like that, it could be their first or their second time back in their social life. And this is what their worry is. Their worry is somebody like you coming up to them and making a comment that makes them want to cry in a corner. And it could be
Yeah.
a comment of like anything, like, oh, I heard you went through that. I'm so sorry. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to hear about it when I'm trying to like be social. Like, there is a world where people that have gone through hard things don't want to talk about them for the rest of their life. And when you're
Right.
trying to step back into regular world and people are kind of like, I don't know. Yeah. Say less, everyone.
Say less.
That's
Okay.
the message.
I was going to say tagline for this episode, say less.
Say less.
Say less.
Everyone just say less.
Okay. All right. Speaking of saying less or maybe saying more, depending on the last thing I wanted to discuss with you is the idea of people feeling distant, like from God, from religion in general, especially in our community when they're going through struggle. I mean, obviously I deal in the realm of the fertility world and fertility struggles, but I think sometimes people have this extra added level of shame and guilt of like, I can't connect with you because you didn't give me the thing that I wanted. You gave me instead this terribly hard thing. I don't know how to handle this. And so, like, whenever people hurt me, like, I don't run towards them. I run away because I don't want to get hurt again. So I feel like I have to protect myself and I can't connect with you in the same way that I used to. And then there's the extra added level of shame of like, oh, well, I'm certainly not going to get what I want now because now I'm distant and now I'm not doing the things the way I'm supposed to. And so therefore I'm not going to get those things. So
So it's interesting.
I wanted you to talk about that specifically from the therapy realm of normalizing some of these
Yeah.
experiences.
So it's interesting. I've seen it going both ways. I've seen people that feel guilt over going through hard things and coming closer to God and then
Oh,
turning to and then turning to prayer, like people that um don't pray every day or don't whatever, that they're going through something hard and they're like, "Oh, maybe if I pray, I'm going to take on praying every day and then it's going to be better." I've seen that, and then I've seen the opposite, exactly what you're not experiencing, saying, um that feeling of guilt of not being able to connect to God because you're mad. You have hard feelings and it's hard. So I've helped people navigate both. The To me, honestly, I think it's easier when you're upset that you turn towards, obviously. Even though you have a certain level of like guilt, like, oh, like God's gonna see that like now I'm turning to him
yeah.
when things are hard. But when things are easy, I'm gonna like float around, Fine. So I see it in both directions a lot. I think it's almost like an amuna, the faith and trust in God situation. That when you're going through hard things, it's hard. It's hard to live in a world. And then you go through this whole like spiral of like, did I do something previously to like get into this? Like I like quote unquote deserve to have a child with an illness, or I deserve to go through infertility, and like so you go through that whole spiral also. Um and then so typically what I tell clients is like, yes, like validate, like, yes, this is a exceptionally difficult situation, and I'm not here to tell you to like how to connect with God. If your connection with God right now is hard and you can't do it, okay. I'm not here to judge you. It's not and by the way, like God knows everything. So like he knows you're going through it, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's okay. Like he knows, he sees it. And like even if you're like so even if you feel like you're connecting because he's always around. But what I tell my clients is like, and thank God so far it's worked. Um in the context of what you're going through right now, when you're in the storm, it's very hard to see anything but that storm. But you hope that you get the blessing of clarity after. How is this going to um not necessarily benefit yourself, but like even like let's say in my situation with my daughter, it we all I mean we're still going through it, but thank God now it's much better. But when I was in the thick of it, like still pregnant with her and like doing the things, etc., like I kept saying to myself, like, please, like I just want to have the bracha, the blessing of how am I going to take this struggle and be able to help grow through it, help other people through it, etc. And that's kind of what's happened. Like we ended up picking because of her condition, there was a couple of options. We ended up picking the more riskier option after speaking to different, doctors and rabbis about it and whatever it was. And now 4 years later, they were like, "You made the best choice ever for your kid." Like there was no but like if you would have chose the other route for her, like she would have been okay, but it could have potentially caused other issues down the line with other organs or whatever it was. So you have to like hold on to that hope almost of there will be an end. It's not like you're going to be stuck in this for the rest of your life, even if it's something like fertility. At a certain point, it's at a certain point, there's going to be a time where it's like, okay, if we can't have children, um, I'm not even thinking naturally, I'm thinking like with IVF or et cetera, and you've been through it and been through it and been through it, and it's not working, that we figure out an alternative. There's never a world where it's like, we can't try to think outside the box. So that's kind of what I try to share with my clients. And then also the concept of you might not see it today, but at some point, please God, like there will be the blessing of clarity as to even if it's something little, like, why did I have to go through this hard thing in order to come out the other side? Like, what in the end or after the storm, how did it change me as a person? in a positive way. You hope. Sometimes it's negative. Sometimes you walk out like a negative Nancy and like, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But like, you hope that these very, very, very difficult things you have to go through in life, because everybody has them, are going to be the things that are going to change you the most.
I I love that, but I'm like there's a piece of me also like as you're talking, I'm thinking like is some of what you're saying like toxic positivity? And what I mean by that is I have a really hard time. Let me even say that differently. We can't make any guarantees to anyone, right? Like
Correct.
we don't know what the future holds. None of
Correct.
us.
Right.
We can say to people, and I do also, like, we're going to sit here and we're going to hold you and we're going to help you get
Right.
through it.
Validate for sure. You can't.
Validating and holding and comforting and all of the pieces as they're in it. But I have trouble saying the like, I hope you find clarity, because I worry about the people out there. Like, there are people who will never get married. There are people who will never have a baby. There are people who that surgery will not turn out well. And so
Right.
I worry about, like, what's the clarity that those people have? Like, I
Okay.
don't know. And so it's hard for me to say that. So I'm curious, like, how do you
So
how do you
I don't typically say the clarity part in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, we
Yeah.
have to see how things are playing out in order for me to make any kind of assessment. When anyone comes to me with this type of thing and they're going through a hard time, my first thing is always like, this sucks. This is really hard. Really, really hard. And it's not fair that you have to go through it. I really try to validate as much as I can and just let them talk and say what they want to say and share their feelings with zero judgment from me. Like, they could say whatever the heck they want. I hate God. I hate this. I hate that. Okay, valid. You are in a space right now where you hate the world. You hate the fact that your body is not working in the way that it should, whatever that means.
Yep.
You hate the fact that you're in this situation with your husband. It's okay. Hate everything. Like, that's typically a lot of times where those first couple of sessions or appointments or meetings I have with people that are going through things like this, where it goes. Once we get through that layer of um uh like contempt and like self-hatred or hatred or whatever, then we're able to move. Like, I don't ever start off with like, oh, you're gonna get clarity. I have no idea. And if
Right.
listen, if what you're saying, like somebody who, they're never gonna get married and it's just never gonna happen for them, that is really hard. I would never start off with, oh, we're gonna get clarity. Never. I would start off with that's really hard. We would probably sit in that for a little bit and then talk about, you know, where is life going to go for you? Let's come up with, you know what I'm saying? Like, it wouldn't start off with toxic positivity. Like, that's not where I go. It's typically more so giving the person the space they need to let out all the like the negative, like self-talk, hatred parts, hatred of the world, hatred of whoever, etc. Because again, all valid. I completely like I went through that process with when I was pregnant with my daughter. Um, it was really hard. And I'm okay. Like, yes, you're allowed. I think that's the part that's not normalized enough. Like, it's okay for you to hate God sometimes. It's okay. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like this is crummy. This is really sad and this is really hard. And it's okay for you to feel like alone, like God is not with you. Alone in a room filled with people that can do nothing to help you. It's okay. It's okay to feel alone. It's okay. I get it. I think that's the part that the message people need to understand, that like if you get into a space where you feel like God abandoned you or you're so far, it's okay.
Yeah. I love that, and it's so deeply important for people because they feel this. it's not only that something terrible has happened to them, but they feel like their feelings are just like they're almost like an out of body experience. Like I can't believe that I'm like
You're not
hitting on.
allowed to have those
I can't
feelings.
believe like they're not allowed. Correct.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
So if I could say anything about this question, it would be more so like, it's okay. You're allowed to have the bad feelings. And
Yeah.
you know what? If you don't have a therapist that you think will accept them or friends that will accept them, find someone that will. I don't care who it is. Find someone that will let you sit with them and just say all the things that you're feeling, even if some of them make no sense. And like after you see them, you're like, wait, I don't know if I really feel this way. Like sometimes just saying them out loud helps you realize, like, wait, I'm not sure that like that's really, So again, I think a lot of that is exactly what you're saying. Like people that are going through this type of thing, like sit with them, hold them, let them be in their feelings, whatever the feelings are, and then we figure it out.
But not with 10 or 12 people sitting around a table all
No, please.
discussing.
Oh my gosh, please, please, please. Like again, like if you have 3 or 4, like don't share the intimate, deep details of your marriage. I think it's so odd. And apparently people do this like on the regular.
Yeah, on the regular,
I don't get it. Like I don't.
on the regular. Dr. Hofstatter, I cannot thank you enough for this
This
conversation.
was awesome. Thank you so
I
much.
just, by the way, like, there were a million other things that we didn't even get to in
I know.
terms of just like different aspects of sexuality and fertility and different pieces of intimacy. There are many more pieces, but I just want to give a plug because if there are those of you out there that are not following her yet, you really need to follow her because as she was saying in the beginning, talking about these anonymous things that people post all the time and the way that she so openly talks about subjects that many other people, in fact, most other people will not do in a public forum.
Uh-huh.
It's really revolutionary. And it's really so much why I wanted to have this conversation. It kind of feels like we might need to have a part 2, but
I mean, I'm down. I'm into it. No
okay.
problem.
All right.
We
All
could.
right. I think we're going to have to do it. But in the
Okay.
meantime, just thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening. If you have any comments about this episode or would like to suggest a future episode, please reach out at 917-382-0422 or send us an email at info@iwassupposedtohaveababy.org or info@iwsthab.org. And please don't forget to like, rate, and review so we can continue spreading the support to the wider Jewish community.